Since I have closed the loop on the track and now can run continuous running trains, I've been wondering just how long it takes to do a lap of the entire layout. Well, let's find out. We'll be using my Scale Trains Tier 4 Gevo, speed setting 18, and I've done the math based off of distance and time. That equates to about 22 miles an hour to scale, so let's fire it up and let the lap begin. I have been pretty indecisive as of what I'm going to do on the layout next. Do I work on the yard area, which will require a hell of a lot of track and a bunch of wiring, which I don't really want to do because I've been spending most of this winter doing that already. Do I work on this water feature area right here, which will also allow me to permanently put this track into place? I love that, but I need some other things put into place before I can even do that. Do I work on a scenic area right in here, which was kind of the plan before the winter even started? So there's a lot of different things, but then it came to my mind that if I want to do scenery, I need to make sure all the track is in place. It's pretty obvious. And a lot of that's going to come from this point right here and tie into this whole section. So if I want all that scenery done, I need to start right here. But before I can do that, there's some other things I need to do, and let me show you what I've gotten done so far. I have filled in all these little holes with some glue-soaked paper towel, right? Because you need to fill those holes before you ballast. If you don't, well, you start pouring ballast over holes that go through your layout. You'll see what I'm talking about and why you need to do that. I have filled the gaps in most of the areas of the track. You can see the gap fillers that I 3D print. You can purchase those off of nscaler454.com. 3-piece design. Works great. It's completely flush to the track around it. And when it's painted, you can't even see it, right? So, yeah, there's some right there. And you can tell, obviously, I've painted these pieces of track right in here. Just the curves, really. Because I need to ballast these curves because there's super elevation in there, and I don't want the glue to come up or the track to come up, so having the ballast on there will help secure it. So I need to do those 3 tracks and that curve right there. But before I can do that, I need to paint this plaster, and I'm okay with that because I like doing the painting. So that's what we're going to do right now. If you haven't seen any of the previous videos I made for painting rock surfaces and dirt and whatnot, I recommend you check those out. But a quick refresher, these are cheap acrylic paints. I use natural gray number 5 by far the most on the rock surfaces. And then for some color, I'll use raw sienna, burnt sienna, and then some ivory black to highlight, the shadows and crevices and whatnot like that. I'll use jute, pebble, khaki tan for the dirt. And that dirt is an important step before you lay down your ground cover and grass or whatever, because you don't want any of the white or pink showing through. Now make sure you water it down quite heavily because you can always add layers. You can't really take them off. think our rock wall is looking pretty good. Blending in pretty nicely with the stuff we had before. And this is really easy. I can't tell you how easy it is, guys. You're really letting the plaster do the work. All these little rock formations and stuff, it's going to grab the color where it wants to be. And because you're doing layers, you can darken it where you want. You can use black to really highlight some shadows. Like I said, some colors to give it a little more pop here and there. And you're using really water to blend it all together. And it's just very, very simple. Over here, I want to add a little bit of this khaki tan because I want it to be more of a grayish brown on these rocks. So I'm going to try that, and then that'll be it. Well, we got the rock face and the dirt painted. We have the ballast on the track, and that is drying. I'm very happy about that. Now I can work on this section right here. I've already started to lay down a little bit of the track. I've marked down this zone right here where the 2x4 is underneath. So my track has to be on this side of this line. You can see I have a road started, and that road is going to carry on all the way up to here. And that means this section is going to be very tight because I have a building that's going to go here. I have a siding that's supposed to go somewhere around in here. Ooh, I have to make some adjustments to the plan right there. And then this water feature, or, you know, whatever you want to call it. If I have a culvert here and a road that goes here, that means I'm going to have my track somewhere-ish here, give or take. And then a bridge, and then the main part of the water feature that kind of spreads out right there. So I'm going to have to figure this all out. So give me a little bit of time. It's going to be about 2 seconds for you guys and probably 2 days for me. So I'll be right back. Well, that didn't take me long to put a stop to this. You can see I put in the Water Street Freight Terminal. It's always been planned to be there. It's going to be a great spot for boxcars. Check out the 53-foot trailer. I cannot put 53-foot trailers against these loading bays here. It's just going to be too tight to the road. So I may have to design a new vehicle. Don't want to do it, but may have to. I always wanted to put in a siding for loading and unloading flatbed cars and gondolas. So, because the idea is that these industries right here belong to the oil refinery. So this is going to be loading things to boxcars, whatever that is. And this is for maybe pipe or, you know, waste material or maybe heavy equipment. Not sure, but I just like that idea. I'm going to likely design a dock system that comes around here or so. Maybe it cuts off here. Maybe it goes down to here. Not too sure, but I was thinking that way. I did want to put in some sort of crane system, but I don't know if that's going to be possible because there's just not a lot of room. Now, I expected it, but it's maybe worse than I was hoping for. But the road right here comes down, and I can get to about as close as that spot right there. Otherwise, it's just too close to the track and the switch stand. And if you see that, there's just not a lot of room between the road and the freight cars right here. And I like to try to be as realistic as possible, and so I can't just put a road directly beside here and expect that there's going to be, you know, activity going on with forklifts and whatnot and trucks going by. So I gotta figure out the exact thing or the ways I need to do it and what kind of structures I can put in here. The orientation of this track, whether I go completely parallel to this track or maybe I kick this out to the side and do something more in the middle. We'll see. This track right here, how it's positioned and the orientation and whatnot is going to be determined by obviously this track and this track right here. Right here, I've always thought of putting in a railroad crossing. I think it'd be cool with the lights and all that stuff. And I'll have a road that comes off of nowhere. Now it does kind of stink that this would be a siding versus a main line, but I just don't see any other place to put it in, if it even goes in. But this road will come up and tee off to the refinery and to other industry that goes that way. I am entertaining the idea of putting in another turnout somewhere maybe here, maybe down here or something. I'm not 100% sure. And maybe adding a small industry, I don't know, maybe a propane center or something. I'm not sure. But some have said that less is more. And if I start throwing in too much track and too many industry and too much buildings, that it might get a little cluttered. And so there's a good point to that. There's definitely some truth. So this, the way it is, gives me an opportunity to focus more on some trees and scenery versus just buildings and tracks. So I kind of like that. Over here, it does seem like I'm going to have plenty of room to do, whether it's going to be double bridge here or a single bridge or all three bridges or whatever. I'm actually leaning towards a single bridge here and a culvert system here, because that road, like I said, is going to come all the way across like that. So road, culvert, water, bridge, but it looks like I have a lot of room. I like that. And then that leads into the last of the big industry, which this track right here should fan out into 3 separate tracks. And if you can't tell from what that looks like, that is the Superior Paper Company. And I quickly figured out, and this is why I'm stopping the video now, is to position all this accurately, mainly the track to get it positioned and permanent. I need to build these. So in probably the next video, we're going to be building the Superior Paper Company. So if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe. If you like this video, hit the like button. And as always, thanks for watching.